Good afternoon and good evening, great Biafrans and lovers of freedom. Welcome to 2023. My name is Wadan Didamaka. Today we have the Biafran Leaders Summit. We say that in times like the one the Biafrans are facing, we need people to lead the struggle. We need people to speak up. The Biafran government in exile today is hosting the first Biafran Summit Leaders Summit. This is comprising of pro-Biafran leaders, all pro-Biafran leaders in motherland and all over the world. You're welcome. Yes, it's going to be an explosive interaction. Please mute yourselves, please. So, welcome again, because it's going to be an interactive section because of what the Biafrans and Igbos are facing in motherland today. And everybody seems like nothing is happening. Nobody's speaking up. Everybody's keeping quiet. The leaders have risen to let Biafrans know the way forward. With me today are the President of the Republic of Biafra Government in Exile, Honorable Tony Wincy, and all other pro-Biafran leaders. When the time comes, they will introduce themselves. So, as I welcome you all, I want you to welcome everybody. Share, and subscribe to our YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Together we shall overcome. I am privileged to introduce my co-host today. Is going to be Dr. Igemba. He's going to be the anchor person when I drop the ball, or when it's time for him to step in, he will. So, Dr. Igemba, you're welcome, sir. So, thank you very much. At this point, I will call the veteran, our own chaplain, Venerable Emeka Wiwe, PhD. He is a veteran. He is also the chaplain of the Republic of Biafra government in exile. So we want you to lead us in a short prayer as we keep the summit open. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mother Biafra Ndirimaka. God bless you. We really like to have courageous people like you who are always fighting with us side by side during the Biafra War in 67 to 70. We thank God for you. We thank all the other brothers and sisters who joined this fray right now. And we thank you all. God bless you as you come in. I really commend you, because it's not easy to be a Biafran in the homeland at this time. And so we pray for you. We thank God for you, and we ask that you never be discouraged. Just before I pray, I'd like to read one portion here in the scriptures. This was when the journey for the Israelites were getting very tough. Very tough. They were trying to get into their new land, or Jerusalem. It was not easy at all. So on the way, some people were giving up. Some people started going back. Some people were promised big mansions back in Egypt, and they tried to draw other people to join them, follow, but others stayed on. The journey was so hard. I read in this place, it said, but the people grew impatient on the way. They spoke against God and against Moses and said, why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the desert? There is no water, no bread, and we detest the misery food that we eat here. And you know what? God told him to keep on moving. Don't look back. And to encourage them, he asked Moses and Aaron to make a makeshift bronze metal and told them to put it on a pole on a hillside, and told people anybody who looked on that pole will survive, because the people were complaining. And so he brought some plagues. And one would say, why would God bring plague in the middle? He wanted to make sure, shift out the shaft from the real thing. So the shafts complained and blamed God and blamed everybody, but the real people stayed on, and God had to test everybody and say, look, on the pole, anybody who is bitten by the snake should look up. And if you look up, you'll be saved. You'll get into the land. But if you don't look up and you think on your own psychology, your own prowess, your own energy and knowledge, you're going to die. I think that some of us did this. We didn't look back when we got into that war in 1967. We didn't care where we were going. We said, give us Biafra or give us death. That was all we were crying. We had no double minds. So anybody who is joining in this fight and has double mind, has problems going on when things are rough, I think they should look back. Don't stand in the middle. Don't discourage other people. Stay on. Look unto God. Ask for God to give you strength, and have a faith that trust only in God, who made you, who made us, who gave us our land. We cannot abandon our land for anybody else. So I like you to hold on that faith. Get it strong today, and God's going to bless you as you help educate people, so that people will not be frail-minded. We are going to succeed. We'll get our land. God will confuse other people who are fighting against us, because we're the people of God. Nobody can stop us. I pray today that God may bless this Biafra summit. And I pray especially for those in the homeland. Father, I pray that you bless them, give them courage, boldness, and fearlessness. Lord divine, help them, guide them in all things. Be with our moderators, our president, and all the things that we'll be doing today. Be with the Igbo people, the Biafrans, wherever they are. May them to be united. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Venerable. As always, we can't do anything without God, and yet with God, everything is possible. And for children of God, there is nothing he cannot do. He's an impossible maker. At this point, I'll call on the convener of this summit to address us, Mr. President Tony Wincy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, well done to the mark, and I thank you, my fellow Biafrans and my friends around the world. Welcome to Biafra Leaders Summit. The government came up with the idea of the summit to bring us together in constant fellowship and to try and resolve the issues that we're facing. try and articulate them, resolve them. Many a time, those of us in diaspora are busy giving prescriptions, but the voice of our brothers, our sisters, our leaders at home who are doing excellent work, and without whom we cannot even do our own bit, their voices are not heard. And so the Biafra Leaders Summit is a monthly program which we have come up with, designed to bring a meeting of mind.
Mr. President seems to be having some technological hinge. I think it's his
like this. And tonight is going to be a robust conversation. Mazin Bakwe, who is a veteran, who has, shed blood, sweat, and tears in the cause of the Biafran people, will be speaking to us. And then we're going to have our keynote speaker, our brother Jerry, who's a magnificent guy. I call him an expert in Biafra history. He demurs on, but I think he's an expert anyway. You're going to love what he has to share. He has a wealth of knowledge to share with us. And after that, we're going to have a conversation, a moderated conversation by Didamaka and Dr. Egemba. And so we've titled this, Igbo politicians are cowards and traitors. Why do we say that? Let's go back a little bit to the definition of democracy. That is what we're supposed to practice in Nigeria. What is democracy? Democracy is defined, the classical definition is government of the people, by the people, for the benefit of the people. That's the definition of democracy. Government of the people, by the people, for the benefit, for the people, for the benefit of the people. And so when you look at all the shenanigans going on in Igbo land, in Biafra land, you begin to ask yourself, all these politicians, who are they representing? Are they representing our people, or are they representing some special interests in the north of the country and outside of the country? Who are they representing? You look at the mass killings, the extrajudicial killings, and you ask yourself, where is the justice? Where is the police? Where is the justice? Our sons and daughters slaughtered every day by the Nigerian government, by agents of the Nigerian government, and then we have politicians, Igbo politicians, who are supposed to represent us and our sons and our daughters and our mothers and our fathers. And you begin to ask yourself, who the heck are they representing? And some people say that these guys are really traitors, spineless cowards, because if they had any spine, they will stand up to the manipulations of the Fulani federal government. They will stand up and protect their mothers and protect their fathers and protect their young ones who are slaughtered in cold blood every day on the streets of Biafra land. Cowards and traitors, our governors. We have our brother running for office, Mazi Peter Obi. And then Soludo comes out and begin to talk smack and begin to talk trash, supporting Atiku. Who is Soludo working for? Are you a patriot or a traitor? Peter is running for office. Peter Obi is our brother. No Igbo man has held the presidency since eternity. Peter Obi is running for office, and then you come out and you're supporting Atiku because of your own selfish interest. That is the definition of treachery. And that is the definition of cowardice. Atiku has given you money and you betray your brother. This is what Igbo politicians have been doing. Preferring their self-interest to the interest of our people. And it's time for all of us, as Igbos, as Biafrans, to rise up and speak up, because these men do not represent us. Nnamdi Kanu, an innocent man, kidnapped by the Nigerian government, held against his will for over 12 months. United Nations said, release the man, compensate him, he has committed no crime. And what do Igbo politicians do? They fold their hands and they're busy going back and forth to Fulani land, you know, wearing Fulani turban, wearing Fulani uniform, bowing down and kissing Fulani butts. That is the definition of cowardice. That is the definition of being a traitor. These men do not represent us. And it's time for all of us to rise up and use our voice and use our influence to say, these Igbo politicians are traitors and they're cowards. And this nonsense has to stop. It has to stop, because you're not going to destroy our civilization for your own selfish interest. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the benefit of the people. Hope Uzodinma, and some people call it Hope Uzodinjo, is busy kissing Buhari's butt and having his own people slaughtered with helicopters, helicopter gunships, Nigerian army. That is the definition of treachery, cowards, men who are not worthy to be called Biafrans. I'm not going to say more than what I have said already. I have a whole lot to share with us, but we'll have a set of brilliant speakers tonight that's going to serve you a menu, including our brave brothers who are in the homeland, who have come here today to lend their voice, to stand up, who have more courage in their little finger than Hope Uzodinma has in all of his body. Our brothers are here today from the homeland who are going to be addressing Biafran people. Hear them. Hear these brave men. Hear them. These men who are the definition of courage. Hear them. And hear our veterans who have given blood, sweat, and tears. My name is Tony Winston. I'm delighted to be here to work with you today. Join us in today's conversation. Back to the studio. Wada Didamaka, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, always doing it on point. At this time, before I invite our venerable, our veteran, Mazin Bakwe, I want all our listeners and the participants to listen to this audio from a gallant Biafran daughter or citizen. When you listen, you advise yourself. We have done it all, gone everywhere, and it is now time to narrow things down, to go to the drawing board to find out where the missing pieces are and join them together. This is the time to make sure we go back to the drawing board to know what we need to get our land. I want us to listen to this before I will call my next person to address the nation. One moment, please.
Anywhere in Nigeria outside the East, the war that was fought was a redirecting the energies of the struggle and refocusing the vision. In 1967, Biafrans were not safe anywhere in Nigeria outside the East. The war that was fought was a war of survival and self-defense. Biafrans literally defended themselves with bare hands. To have held out for almost 3 years against the combined forces of Britain and Russia was a miracle that has baffled the world and confounded the Nigerian state. In declaring no victor, no vanquished, after Biafra capitulated, a statement had been made to the effect that Biafrans were not mere animal games to be hunted and killed at will without recourse to self-defense. Now, how have Biafrans fared since after the war? What factors rekindled the agitation for the restoration of the nation of Biafra several decades after the war? Noting that there has always been killings of Ndi Igbo in Nigeria, even before the much-touted coup of January 1966, we want to explore the unanswered questions of why Ndi Igbo have continued to migrate to those areas where they are killed and their wealth plundered. From Osa Matasine to Osa Abiola, through Osa Boko Haram, and many more, our people are killed. The survivors run to the east only to return and go back straight to the very places where they were killed. What is the attraction in the lands of their sojourn? Is there something that can be done to replicate in our region, whatever it is, that lures our people?
Got the audio paused or stopped. Can you check, please? The audio paused. I don't know whether it finished. Can you check, please? You are muted.
Can you hear it now?
Getting things done the right
Yes.
way in order to secure our lives, our future, and the future of our children to the unborn generation. Lack of income generating opportunities in our region. What are the factors that create jobs and income generating opportunities in a nation or region? One is presence of industries. Two, large population that support commerce or commercial activities. Three, regular power supply. Four, human resources and banks. In all these, human resources play the greatest role, if you ask me. It is actually human resources that drive the rest of the other factors. Without human resources, an economy cannot drive itself. But our vast human resources have not been deployed to the benefit of the development of our region. Rather, we have migrated to other regions and have been major forces in developing those regions to the detriment of our own homeland. The best our people do is to come home once in a while, build imposing edifices, lock them up, and migrate again. We need to remember that empty buildings are nothing without human beings. In fact, if you leave empty buildings long enough without the presence of humans, they will go into disrepair and might even collapse. So, how do we attract our people back home? We cannot hope to remain in exile and restore Biafra. Now imagine that we had a world standard industrial mega city in the heart of the Eastern region. Eastern region here refers to the region that included the present Southeast and the South-South, which is well equipped, with world standard state-of-the-art industrial machines that can fabricate anything from pin to motor vehicles or even aircrafts. And everything from face wipe to the most sophisticated apparels are also designed and made here. Is there really any nation more fashionable and fashion conscious than the Biafran nation? Imagine that this mega commercial industrial city employs people on pay-as-you-work basis. Everybody from the local vulcanizer and roadside mechanic to the high-tech engineers, each earn according to work done. These mega industrial cities will produce enough for local needs and surplus for export. The efforts or energy which our people expend in Kano, Abuja, Kaduna, Lagos can be rechanneled to our own land. When once the masses can earn enough to live relatively comfortable lives, their minds will be healed and they will cease to be willing tools in the hands of exploitative politicians. A mega industrial city or center promises to reverse the trend of mass exodus from the east to Lagos, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and beyond the shores of Nigeria. Another area to give consideration is in mechanized and industrialized agriculture with modern methods and improved seeds, crops, and processing methods. Young graduates and school leavers abhor agriculture because it is still practiced at the subsistence level with hoe and machetes. It is thus considered poor man's occupation. To have an agricultural revolution will mean reorganizing agriculture and practicing it the way it is done in the developed and civilized world. We need to engage our chemical and agricultural engineers to come up with best crop species, machinery, methods that will ensure optimum yield per acre of land for each crop, and map out the best areas for cropping, for animal husbandry, and fisheries. To achieve this objective, people will need to be trained to drive the vision. The best processing equipment will also need to be procured. Tackling the constraints. Are there laws or policies of the Nigerian state that may hinder us from going ahead to implement our plans? The lawyers among us can study the laws of the land and advise us on possible ways to circumvent running afoul of the laws. I am aware that a lot has already been written on economic development of the Eastern region, but what has not been done is mapping out strategies for financing the lofty ideas. We are not here to reinvent the wheel, but to apply the basic principles of the wheel to drive our economic vision for Biafra land. Paramount to achieving Biafra is financial economic freedom for the people. This cannot be achieved from local and international exile. Our people are on self-imposed exile occasioned by the harsh economic realities of our region. We must begin to think home and reach home more often than we have done so far. It is often said that where there is the will, there must be a way. We have the will, therefore there is a way. We just have to find that way. The beginning of this economic revolution may not be easy. It may not present a smooth or sweet ride, but in the end, we shall succeed, and Biafra will come like a miracle without much struggle. It is our job to prepare the ground, to lay the economic foundation upon which the nation of Biafra will stand. As an independent nation, Biafra will not live on handouts, on aids, or from other nations. Rather, we are going to be productive enough to have surplus that we can lend to other nations at a profit. We need to take measured steps. We do not need to hurry to confront Nigeria or any other nation militarily or politically. We rather need to make some sacrifices and build our economic base, empower our people with regular means of livelihood, free our people from poverty mentality, and ensure that they are free from prebendal tendencies. Gradually, our people will build a formidable economic force that can bring down the political structure at will, because we will no longer depend on Abuja handouts for our livelihood, and for the development of our region. This is where we must channel our energies and build alliances. The masses of Nigerians across board suffer the same injustices that people in the East suffer. It may be more glaring in the East and more painful because we are, by nature, hardworking, innovative, and dignified. So we notice and feel the pain of our humiliation and deprivation more than others. But we, the masses, suffer together. And those who share our resources oppress us and set us against one another, also band together to do it. When the National Assembly is making dubious laws that rape the economy, granting to themselves millions of naira, none of them remembers to protest against the 18,000 naira minimum wage. Their dogs and their other pets receive better care than the average Nigerian. And yet, we tend to believe that our problem stems from the average Yoruba man or Hausa man. The Hausa masses are just as deprived as any other person. They are victims of the ruling class. Even an average herdsman is harmless until he is radicalized and militarized by the powers that be. Therefore, we need to remove our focus from the average human in the masses of other tribes. They are not our problem. If we forget our hatred for them for a moment and channel that energy to combat our economic challenges, we will be the better for it. Finally, to make the point clearer, the experience of 1967 will not be repeated because this is the 21st century. Weapons of aggression have gone beyond what they were in the 20th century. Our reason for laying emphasis on industrializing our region is not necessarily so that we won't be forced to lose our properties in other regions in the event of hostilities. Rather, it is our right to develop our region. It is our right to build the headquarters of our concerns in our region. We can fan out and build distribution outlets in other regions, but the headquarters need to be in our land. That way we shall be standing on solid ground should hostilities break out. We shall be negotiating from a vantage position when it gets to the point of negotiation. As things stand now, we are disadvantaged at all fronts. This is an anomaly we have to correct and remedy through economic revolution. Our people must begin to prepare their minds to receive the right trainings. And those with trainings and talents must prepare to use them to serve our nation. It is time to shun wrangling and squabbles. When we have conquered at the economic front, then we can smoothly present a common political front at the international level. This is how to redirect the energies of the struggle and refocus the vision. Thank you.
Thank you, great Biafrans and listeners. We can hear and understand what this voice is telling us. We believe in a suggestion or problem with solutions, economic revolution, and things have changed from what they were in 1966. So we must build our economic status to be able to confront our enemies. That is what I could make out from this voice. At this point, I'm going to call a seasoned veteran, a man that lived and saw it all, that was and still fighting because he knows the price for, what freedom is. A man that was among the people that said, give me freedom or give me death. He is currently the leader of the chairperson for Edal Council in the Republic of Biafra government in exile. And again, he is the patron of Umada Biafra worldwide, one of the pro-Biafran groups. I'll call Mazin Bakwe at this point. So you have 10 to 15 minutes to address our people. We have identified the problems, the political class. Now we want solution. As leaders, we want Biafrans are listening. We want to know the problem has been identified. We want to know the solutions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mother Ndidamaka. Fellow Biafrans, welcome to this summit. I don't have a written speech. I am just going to be speaking through my spirit to my people. And the reason why I don't need a prepared speech is because I lived it, I saw it, I smelt it, I embraced it, I suffered it, I survived it. And so, let's not make any mistake about it. Mr. President gave a definition of democracy. Yeah, in the books. That does not apply to Nigeria. Nigeria is a completely unique, stupidly unique entity. So anybody comparing Nigeria with other nations is making a big mistake. Nothing works in Nigeria. And you look at our politicians, our leaders, they are the problem. So actually the definition for democracy in Nigeria is the government of the people, by few people, and for the same few people. And so that is the basis for the what you call cowardice and treachery, compromise. Those all are the elements of bad democracy, which Nigeria, is guilty of. I mean, all dates back to when the marriage was contracted, 1960. I saw through that. I've waved the Nigerian flag as a young primary school graduate almost. And then down to the 1966 program when I was my final year in secondary school. So it's all the same thing that you have been told over and over again, that they are born to rule. I don't know why people are not getting it. We are on the social media every day ranting and throwing punches in the middle, trying to engage in a street fight. This is not a street fight type. And if we cannot come together, then I can tell you today that Biafra is going to be, our freedom is going to be far-fetched. Whether you like it or not. See, you can't continue to be that ostrich that dips his head to the ground and hoping everything is hunky-dory out there. Neither do you want to be that pregnant woman that doesn't know the type of laughter the baby in the womb is given to her. We have seen enough. We have experienced enough. At this point in time, we are at a crossroad, my fellow Biafrans. And then when you talk about Biafra and Igbo, or Igbo and Biafra, they are synonymous. Actually, Biafra is a sect, and Igbo is a subset of Biafra. It's just a fraction. We still have the coastal region people that don't want to belong. And this is where most of our problems begin to arise. And that's where we have so much differences. Internal squabble. Instead of facing the giant out there that poses a threat to all of us, whether you are coastal area or whether you go land, mainland, or whatever, or middle belt, or whatever, internal belt or side belt, we need to come to the grips of, I mean, how long shall the Biafra and the Igbo man continue to wander in the wilderness? And what make you think that you are going to get this freedom fighting individually? What makes you think that? You're not going to be able to. And what makes you think that you can challenge the power and establish power? You know that you cannot stand their firepower. I mean, you just like an idiot that saw the windmill and felt so obsessed with the windmill because the windmill is damaging lives, birds flying through and then they're getting cut into pieces. And then he decided to go against the windmill with a machete and a club. And then what happened to him? He was blown out by the windmill. So you cannot do that. Rather, we need to come together. It's a must, whether you like it or not, unless you don't want freedom. And we have to begin to articulate how to deal with our politicians. They cannot continue to do this. They don't even care about the next generation coming. What really got into the mind of the black race in general? We have to do something a little different. Whether you are, let me say this now, I don't hide my feelings or whatever I have to say to my fellow Biafrans. Whether you are autopilot or IPOB or whatever other group out there, we have to come together. Even if you have a plan, we need to collectively address, look at it, and tweet it. Nobody has the answer. It's a combination of ideas that is going to give us our freedom. It is the combination of ideas that will give us our freedom. It's not a one-man's race. You want to show up, you want to be the Nnamdi Kanu or whatever, or the next Jesus Christ, or one of the African leaders. What do you want? What are you trying to prove? Thank God, in the next couple of weeks, we'll go into election. I'm not an advocate of that election, but if you decide to go and vote, understand that whoever wins that is going to swear with the 1999 Constitution. And that 1999 Constitution has the 65 exclusive lists that has held us bondage, and that has held us down. And then you're going to try to fix it? Good luck for that. So we need to wake up, my fellow Biafrans, my fellow Igbo men, and we have the intellectual capacity to reason, to think, to begin to articulate. That you didn't engage in participate in the Biafran war does not mean that you should lose your brain. You should not, read between lines and see where we've been and how we have been marginalized, subjugated. We're almost losing our land. Many of us have been forced out of our homes. And then we're out there compromising, playing cowardice, playing treachery, compromising. That it's not going to amount. Well, it may fill your pocket today, but how about tomorrow? How about your next generation? How about your children and your children's children? Do you ever think about them? Please, Biafrans, wake up. Igbo people, wake up. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mwada Ndidi.
Thank you, Mazi. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Mazi Makwe, a veteran. You said it all. And we can all deduct the anger in your voice. That is, it baffles me when a man of your age and status keeps fighting for freedom and our younger ones are checking out. Our politicians are, dancing with our future, romancing with our future. You couldn't have said it enough. I thank you. He said, a word is enough for the wise. It is time to team up. It's time to come together. And that is why I applaud this current Republic of Biafra government in exile, headed by Honorable Tony Nwisi, on giving our homeland leaders voice. Because whatever we do here in diaspora, they are the people on the ground. They are the ones that are living their life every day. They are the ones that will tell us how to navigate this. So I really appreciate your contribution, sir. At this point, I'm going to call our key speaker, and a gallant warrior brother of ours, Mazo Sita Odima. Mazo Sita Odima, please, I would like you to unmute yourself. Introduce yourself to Biafrans. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then address Biafran. You have 15 to 20 minutes to do that, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, there were. Thank you very much, my wonderful sister. My name is Mazi Ositadema. I am from Enugu State in Biafra land. I live in Canada. I have background in international humanitarian law, economics, international politics, international comparative politics, and political science. Today, our topic here is about the character of our Igbo politicians, that Igbo politicians are cowards because they seem to be inert in all the calamities going on in our, basically, they seem to be very complicit with all the major crimes against humanity being committed against our people, which has been going on for thousands of years, basically. We may argue here as to the reasons why our politicians have this passive attitude towards our collective good. But I think what we have been doing is basically foraging through the basket of our history with our eyes blindfolded. Our struggle for Biafra, our struggle to have decent living, our struggle anywhere we are, is not by accident. What is happening to our leaders or to our elites is the same that is happening to the elites of our people who were brought here by force with ships. The same very exact thing. The question is, why are our politicians all cowards? Why are our politicians different from the other politicians you will see in other regions that will rise up in defense of their own people? Why are our politicians, whose very backyard houses the very resources that provides the largest portion of the revenue that runs the entire country and the Commonwealth, the very people, the very politicians who are among the classes of the most educated in the region, the very people who have the first legitimate right to the resources on the land, why are they now ostensibly slaves to the people who are running their lives and the lives of their people, both the ones born and the ones unborn, who have no legitimacy whatsoever to the resources on Biafran soil? We must understand what the situation is, because Sun Tzu, in the art of war, said that if you are going into a conflict or into a struggle or business struggle or physical struggle, whatever the struggle is, you must have 100% knowledge of your adversary, your enemy. You must also have 100% knowledge of yourself. You must also have 100% knowledge of the situation. We don't have 20% of either of these three. That's why we are in a continuous struggle. We are all like crabs in a bucket. The origin of our struggle currently starts from the United States in 1710. That is why I posted that document so that, and I urge every one of us here, every Igbo leader in whatever capacity, every African leader in whatever capacity, every Black leader in whatever capacity, please go through that document. Good thing is not classified any longer. This document is in the heart of every other document made against or for our people in the past 350 years. This document precedes the United States Constitution by over 6 decades. It is called the Meritorious Manumission Act of 1710. Why was this act enacted in Virginia? This was before the United States government even existed. This was while it was under occupation by the British with the tutelage of Rome. Why this Meritorious Manumission Act? You see, late 1600s, the slaves in the US, as they call our brothers, a lot of them have actually lived in the US then for about two decades. There were struggles among them. And there were struggles also started or engineered by those who actually joined them eventually. But late 1600 registered a whole lot of struggles around the plantations in North America and in the Caribbean. So by 1699, they gathered together, set up a panel to investigate why this resistance, why this trouble. So by 1708, they came up with a final report identifying the Igbo slaves as the problem from North America to South America to the Caribbean to Europe, wherever our people were dropped as slaves. They identified that over 80% of the struggle or the resistance of the rebellion were started or engineered by those slaves, as they call them, who were brought from the hinterland. Hinterland. Remember, Lugard said, I don't want to put Lord there because that was a big deception they used against us to make us to worship with the white paintings they called Jesus. Lugard said in one of his documents, he said that it took them a lot of time and effort and resources before they could penetrate the hinterland of the Igbo. So the hinterland of the Igbo, by today's standard, you could call the 5 states currently who are answering Igbo state. So they found out that the slaves who were basically troublemakers of the time were of Igbo descent, from this particular territory. And they made this law, the Meritorious Manumission Act, which they call the final solution to the Igbo problem. How they can put the Igbo man to check, not for that time, but forever and ever. 2 years later, a man called Willie Lynch from a plantation in Jamaica with Jewish roots and Jesuit trained came to Virginia, which was the seat of power in the United States, and said he has found out the perfect experiment on how to put this law to use throughout the plantations and throughout the colonies. Now, when you talk about the plantations, you're talking about where our people who were brought here forcefully were kept or were settled. But when you talk about colonies, now you're going down into Africa. We're going to use Nigeria, for instance. Why did this law later became the acronym for this law, the Meritorious Manumission Act, became Willie Lynch. So when you hear black brothers or sisters who are in the struggle in the United States mention Willie Lynch, they're referencing this law. This law is the reason why our Igbo leaders are inert. This is why our Igbo brothers, who are our leaders and our elites, are basically the major or primary agents of our oppression. This is why we never collaborate with one another. This is why we are divided. The Divide et Impera project started from this, which is a Roman project, because this law was written under the authority of canon law. We must understand this so that we can understand how far the enemy that puts us in trouble goes. This law is the reason why we have the situation we have today. This law is at the foundation of every law made in Africa, especially in Nigeria. Local laws, state laws, national, regional, international, whatever laws that affect us. This law is the reason why we are in the problems we are facing today. This law is the reason why the Fulanis are invading, raping, committing all manner of crimes on our soil. Then the federal government is also using their army and the civil defense to complete what the Fulanis, or to basically facilitate the terrorism of the Fulanis against our people. We must not see what happened between the Fulanis and those in the north or in Chad or Niger. We must not see them in isolation with what is going on in our land. They are all connected. At the highest level of this law is controlled by a Hegelian dialectics. So you control the thesis, you control the synthesis. You control the antithesis so that you can have a controlled synthesis. So it is the same person, and we're going to talk about that same person here so that we can understand why we have this enemy, so that it can help us to understand who we are as a people, whether you call us the Igbos or you call us the Biafrans. So we can understand who we are. For knowledge of self gives us a different advantage against the enemy on our soil. Knowledge of self gives us a better understanding of the enemies we are facing, even the internal enemies who are our elites, our brothers and sisters, our politicians. It helps us to understand. It helps them also to understand the reason why the enemy of which with whatever coercion, whatever the enemy is using to coerce them, so they can understand why they are doing what they're doing against the collective good of their own people. So I will urge every one of us to take your time. It could take you some days or weeks, but read this law to help us to understand. Because this law was not just made in the United States, it was not just promulgated throughout the colonies. In over 270 years later, when Africa was ready for decolonization, agents of decolonization mainly came from Africa, masterminded by Zeke, but came from Nigeria. But Nigeria got independence after most of the other students of the independence under Zeke. There was a reason for that, because they took their time. Again, they started from late 1800 to study the Igbos again, to study you again, and they started studying you with the template of the Meritorious Manumission Act, aka Willie Lynch. So they prepared a document which was the prelude to the independence given to Nigeria in 1959, sorry, called the Willings Report on Minority, aka the document which gave rise to the name called, or the country called Nigeria, which the United Kingdom said they want to use to control the rest of Africa. Now, what is significant about this document? This document was only used, or this exercise was only carried out in southwest of Cameroon and southeast of Nigeria. Why? To identify the Igbo man as a problem. So when you see your state shrunk, or when you see our territories like Bakassi, when you see our territories like Idoma, the northern part of Anambra and Ikogi, the Egala people, when you see our territories all the way to Jigawa, when you see our territories cut down, it is also what happened in 1884 at the Berlin Conference when they divided Biafra into 7 countries. The same project. That is why when you look at the Nigerian constitution, it is a mirror of the Ghanaian constitution, Cameroonian constitution, Congolese constitution, the constitution of Angola, the constitution of Sao Tome and Principe, the 7 countries. So we must understand the project against us. The project against us goes beyond what we see in Nigeria today, goes beyond the Fulanis, goes beyond the Nigerian government. These are basically catechumens of our enemies. Now, why are we hated so much? Why this hatred? Let's look at historical examples, for instance. Recently, we're not talking about the BCs, we're talking about just recently. We know that from 700 AD to 1400 AD, Black people civilized Europe. They call them the Moors. Now, when you look at the Moors in the dictionary, when you check or you research them out, they will tell you that the Moors, history tells you that the Moors came from Northern Africa, and Babas from Northern Africa and West Africa. But when you actually do your research, you'll find out that the Moors actually, the first few of them actually came from what you call Nigeria today, especially in Igbo land. And some from the Eko area, because the first person who raised the Moorish flag in Andalusia, which was the first black city created in Spana, was from somebody you could call a Yoruba man, but then they were not called Yorubas. They were called the Ifes. Now, 1249 AD, when the Moors were expelled from Europe, they ran away from a place, the resemblance of Lagos, called Lagos, the port city in Lisbon. These Moors did not run to Morocco. They didn't run to any other part of West Africa. They ran to Enugu State and settled in Udi and Nsukka, to be precise. Josephus, if you are a priest or you're a pastor, you must write or you must have read an article or some work of Josephus before you can get your faculty. Josephus is one of the authorities of the church. Josephus reported that under the empire of Vespasian in 70 AD and his son Titus, which we call him in English Titus, these people hated us so much. They wanted to use force to stop us from carrying out our omenana, the Sabbath, and many other omenana practices that we had all over the Roman territory. But it started from Masada, resistance from Masada in 68 AD. But by 70 AD, our people were vanquished. Josephus reported that the survivors of the Roman Holocaust in 70 AD ran to Gulf of the Guinea. This was hundreds of years before there was even an idea to create Nigritia, or even the idea to create Nigeria, because before Nigeria was called Nigeria was called Nigritia over 100 or 200 years before the creation of Nigeria. So when you hear that Flora Shaw was the first person who articulated the idea of calling Nigeria, that's a shallow history. That's not our history. That's not the truth. The truth was it was called Nigritia before, and it was from Senegal, Gambia, all the way to northern Nigeria, because the southern Nigeria became part of it later on. But that's not part of our project today. Our project is to help our people to understand who we are, to understand why the enemies surround us today, to understand that we have already won these fights, because these fights have already been won in heaven, to give our people hope that you must not cower as a Biafran. Don't think you are cursed to be a Biafran. No, when you are called Biafran, know that you are the same bloodline with Abraham, the same bloodline with the very people who you read in your Bibles today. You see, they packaged us. What happened to us started a long time ago. We, our fathers and their fathers, grew up into this system of oppression. So this system controlled the education we have received. That is why we don't know where to start. That is why we are all confused. That's why we are all struggling. And that's why we are all reacting to our situation, because we don't have access to our history. Our history is facing us right in our faces. The very Bible we read are translations upon translations. The very first documents from whence the Bible was translated from, we can call it the Dead Sea Scroll, but those documents, those manuscripts, over 60% or 70% of the signatures or the writers of those documents have the same bloodline as you do. As you do. Every ontological evidence, every archaeological evidence, every historical, every evidence of any genre is in support of these facts. The first Oyibo man to go to school, the first Oyibo man to write a book, the first Oyibo man to be articulate in terms of intelligence was called Homer. Homer said about you that your land is a land where men were gods, the land of the gods, the holiest sites for the Egyptian pharaohs before the dynasties were created. If you looked up research about the civilization of Egypt, you will understand what Biafra is all about. That the first civilization of Egypt was built by men, by patriarchs that came from Igbo land, in a civilization that was called Biafra, thousands of years before Christ. Thousands of years before Christ. A land where men were gods. Yoruba Ifa priests, who are the custodians of Yoruba mythology and Yoruba history, will tell you that Obatala, who is their biggest deity, came from Igbo land. And after teaching them Ifa, which is a mirror of Afa in Igbo land, he went to Kemetu in Egypt. Osiris, in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, said he and his brethren came from the land where the sun rises from. In front of the Giza pyramid stands a sun disk, a sun view, where all the kings of Egypt view the rising of the sun. The sun rises from Biafran territory, because there is a holy site in Biafra which is called Non, and that Non is the holiest site for the Egyptians. The Egyptian spirituality respects and honors the land of Non more than anything, because they say that's where the God of creation started creation from, the primeval water. This land is exactly in Bayelsa State, in Biafra land. So when you understand who you are, you will understand that it is your duty to defend your land, that this land is a great land, that this land is a holy land where the autochthons and those who came back have settled for thousands of years, that this land is a land that is magical. Even tomorrow, we are going to move away from the fossil fuel energy or technology, and we'll move into green energy. In the fossil fuel era, the past 100 or 200 years, the hegemonies of this world have relied on nuclear weapon as the biggest source of force or weapon in the world. But there is another weapon or another material which is much, much stronger or much more powerful than nuclear weapon, which whoever is going to have the hegemony of tomorrow must have access to. and that mineral is in abundance in your land. God does not make any mistakes. The problem we have is that we do not understand that the Bible we read is a story about us. When we understand this, when you hear about Israel in the Bible, you're talking about you, not just you as an Igbo person, all over sub-Saharan Africa. Our people are scattered all over the world like Opaka. Our people are in Tasmania. Our people are in Papua New Guinea. Our people are in northeast and southeast of India. Our people are in Malaysia. Our people are all over the world, those taken as slaves and those who migrated, fleeing away from hunger and deprivation. But today, the enemy is back again with their Hegelian principle again to control both sides of the equation. So when you see Peter Obi is an example of the candidate they used before, Zeke. Now they have Peter Obi. Okay, Peter Obi is basically a band-aid to the problems we are facing, to make us see what is going on in our land, not as an atrocity, but to see it as normal struggles of life, and to see that the election is the hope that we have. Meanwhile, at the highest level, the enemy is playing us like a marionette because they know exactly what they want to achieve. But I want to tell us here that the answer, the results, is within our hands. For we have control of even the resources they use against us. We have even control of even the agents or the agencies they use against us. Although they are at the highest level of the control of our land, goes directly to the church, to all their various agencies, their deep states, but we have the advantage, and that advantage is to know who we are. If we know who we are, not just answering the children of God, but there are some things God said to us. He said, this, by doing this, you will be known to be mine, people set apart, a holy people. That is why people call you, you are proud, you are arrogant, you are this and all that, because it is in your blood. This within is your gift, although it's been compromised, but it is still there. You are a people set apart, but not just by answering. Yeshua said, you cannot call God, 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 and claim that by saying that I'm a child of God, that you are the same, you have the same heritage as Abraham. He said, I can call the stones and they'll be better than you because you don't do the work of my Father. Yeshua came here and he upheld the gospel. He upheld the scriptures. He upheld the Omenana. There is a particular Gnostic group. When you do church history, there was a particular Gnostic group that was vanquished by the Roman Empire, the church itself precisely, called the Ebionites. If you were to check the Ebionites with any research that you want to conduct, it will tell you that the Ebionites had two things that they were known for. They never believed in the Pauline epistles. They hated Paul so much, and they never believed that Jesus was born by a divine force. They believed that Joseph was the father of Jesus or Yeshua. And these are true. And they also say that this was led or started by James, the cousin of Yeshua. We know that James was not a disciple of Yeshua while Yeshua was alive. He became stronger when Yeshua has already gone out of here physically. Now, when you put in perspective these two principles or these two hate speeches made against the Ebionites, because they will tell you that the Ebionites were all vanquished, they don't live anymore. Let's look at biblical evidence. In the Bible tells us that when Amara was pregnant, Angel Gabriel, the messenger of the Almighty, said to Moses, said to Joseph. Joseph was very, very concerned because they never had any relations, and she's already pregnant, which was alo by our own standard, in our own culture, in our menana. The angel told him, the child is divine. Do not embarrass her by throwing her away, but take her in, for what she bears in her stomach is the savior of the world. And common sense tells us that Joseph complied with this instruction, which means that even the neighbors, the people on the street, they believed that Mary was pregnant by by Joseph, that Jesus was the son, the biological son of Joseph. However, they will also tell you that the Ebionites believe that Jesus did not become divine because of his birth, that he only attained divinity as the only person, the only deity who attained divinity because he kept 100% of the Omenana. Because he kept 100% of the Omenana. This is in the Talmud. The Talmud is a document which is our menana, which the Jews turned upside down to set up a Kabbalistic system, because it is only the Talmud that they use in training all the rabbis. They know the truth. You are the truth. But our people do not come into this truth. And that is why it is important, so that our people may know who they are. It is not by answering, I'm a child of God. There is something God said to us in Exodus chapter 20 and Leviticus chapter 11. But everything God told us to do, we are doing the opposite of it. When we were little, we learned catechism in the churches. We were taught 2 laws of God: the 10 commandments, which was given by God, and then the church's 10 commandments. But when you're growing up, in retrospect, check out all that you have learned through your school system, all that you have heard from your various churches or mosque or religious places, the things you've seen in your society, in your media, your movies, your radio system, your communications, whatever you've seen in the society, they are all promoting the church's commandments, not the commandments of God. Because today we normalize going to church on Sunday. And we are the children of God. He said, teach your children this, and they will do this forever and ever. This is how the world would know you are my people set apart. If you do this blessing, so will follow you. If you go against this, 1 inch to the left or right, so curses will come upon you. Today, our staple food is crayfish. We eat all manner of things. Nobody cooks in Igbo land without putting crayfish. Crayfish is Cameroon. That's where Portuguese started digging crayfish out. Our people never ate crayfish. Our people normalized eating crayfish during the war and after the war. Our people were given 20 pounds. It was not the idea of the Nigerian government. It was not the idea of Awolowo. The same handlers told them to start them from the scratch again. Let's see. We have always been an experiment to them. They've been watching us. Okay? We were given 20 pounds, and our people struggled with the 20 pounds. That struggle breeded sabotage, breeded so many behaviors among us, which we are reaping today, which is why you see our people, they desire money against the life of their person. Before, even while the white men were here, before, it is a taboo to be a participant in the death of an Igbo man. Our people are sacred. If we can understand this, if we can return back to the commandments of God, if we can be who we are, our problems will fade in a second. But while we are doing it, we have an enemy in our front yard. We must defend our soil. It is because of this Meritorious Manumission Act that's acquiesced all our leaders to be participants in the extraordinary edition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is the same reason why all of us here have not raised the dusts wherever we are, because of our brother is languishing, because they know who we are. They did it before. Our people said, let his blood be on our head and on our children's head. Because we don't have any time, I will stop here.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you, Mazi. Oh, Sitade, this is mind-blowing. It's getting me more aggravated than, it's so much the enemy has hidden from us. And I told them, even here in the United States, that the problem is not the resources in Igbo land, it's the brain drain. Once we go, most nations will collapse, because Biafrans, the Igbo man, the Igbo woman, our resilience and our intelligence is what is growing other people's economies, and we are in our own land living like destitutes. I will please I'll talk to you later. This write-up, I will want it in an audio for people, for it to circulate. The hidden truth is out. Thank you very much, honestly, and I will get back to you. I will play short music. Facebook and YouTube, we don't have copyright on this music, but it's just to refreshing a little bit, because this vast information is really, really mind-blowing. Thank you. Excuse me.
Obodo siri ike na ndị Igbo abanye bafu ebulike wepụta Ugochukwu nyela anyị nyanwa ka eji aga n'ụlọ iyo oko
Yes, anywhere you go, and if you do not see Igbo man, pack your bag and go. And that is why they hated us. But, you know, we are determined that give us freedom or give us death. We'll be getting to the second phase of this summit today, which will be the panel. And at this time, I'm going to call my co-convener, my co-host, Dr. Ikemba, to please take it up from there, sir, and invite our panelists. And when they come in, please let them introduce themselves and tell us a little bit of the group they are representing. But if you are eating, I can take over. I can keep talking, Dr. Gemba. If it's not convenient for you, I can handle it. Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay, sir. We have in the panelists, we have Mazi Okoji, Mazi Festus Obia. We have Dr. Gemba, yourself, Dr. Eda Joseph. I'm trying to talk to him. His microphone, he can't hear us. And Comrade Obena. So please take it up from there, and as you call them in, let them introduce themselves, and then go for the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I go to the panel, if I am allowed, I want to make a quick comment on this issue now, and I will be mindful of time, and I'm running late to the other meeting I'm going, but they can afford to wait. Now, I have a little bit of the topic is good. The topic of this summit is good, but it could have been done the other way around, actually. Yes, I don't honestly speak and pay attention to these so-called Igbo politicians, because I know that they don't represent us. And we all know that they don't represent us, because I have not seen any politician of note that is Igbo-centric, Biafra-centric, that has our interests at heart. Now, this explains the reason why, and I want to challenge any of you here today to name one politician of note, from local government chairman, a former local government chairman, down to House of Representatives, Senate, federal ministers, or even state commissioners that have served and currently living in the territory of Biafra. I want us to challenge you to name one, a captain of industry, of business of note, that is resident, officially resident in the territory of Biafra today. All of these people I've mentioned, all of them are resident outside Biafra land. And they are resident predominantly in Lagos and Abuja. Now, this is the reason why our land is more or less like is in destitute, like a barbarossa, you know. And this is why the politicians, both those that are still serving over there, are not interested in fixing our homeland, because they know that immediately they leave office, they are out. And in fact, in some cases, some of them rule from wherever they are, predominantly from Abuja. And another issue, because of time, I will maybe put a lot of things together or mix things up, and I will challenge you or ask you to pieces them out yourself. And there's a comment Mazin Bako made about this, our struggle, and in some individuals, persons, and personalities involved. Now, talking about Igbo cowards and traitors, it is even more damaging that we have them within our midst. In the Biafran struggle, we have traitors, we have cowards within our midst. And for the fact that we have not identified them, called them by their name, and name and shame them, that's why our struggle is not going any forward. We are going up and down. And with due respect, I will come to what Mazi Ositadema said about this historical background he gave us. From time immemorial, from God did not make a mistake to plant us in that part of the world. If he didn't, if he knew who we are, and we know that the God we serve do not make mistake. God, if God makes mistake, we couldn't be where we are today. He created us to be who we are. And we want to turn away from what God made us to be, what he created us for. And that is why we are suffering. Now, we are stubborn, yes. We are, we don't allow to be this thing, yes. But do we cheat anybody? Do we allow this, that I don't want you to cheat me? Have I cheated you? Okay. Now, the reason why I said that we have a lot of cowards and traitors within the Biafran struggle, and that is why our struggle is not moving forward. And that is because within, we all know that enemy within is more dangerous, deadlier than enemy from without. Now, let me use myself as an example. Assuming that I am an enemy, and I am here, everybody's is welcoming me to be a moderator to this thing. I am sharing, we are sharing, I am taking those information. Then I will go away and exchange it for money and still come back and dine and wine with you. This is very, very dangerous. And unfortunately, we have a lot of them in our midst. And we have started to adopt what are on Igbo or on Biafran, like paying a little bit more attention to personality and persons and personalities. Persons and personalities are important in history. They have their place. But we are giving far too more attention. And this is why we are having too many traitors and betrayers and cowards within our midst. Let us think about that and see. If we are to fight against Igbo traitors, we have first and foremost sanitize within our own, fight internal battle, win it before we go out. If not, we will be. It is these Igbo politicians that are using the traitors within our midst to foster our struggle. And we have never given this a thought. These Igbo politicians are paying active Biafran activists not to make things work for us. Where is the Wazirikes of this world today? He's still parading that he has 20 or 30 stages of level or stages of getting Biafra. Where is he today? And I can name you some other names within our struggle. Then we keep on calling the same people, giving them authority, microphone to be addressing our people, causing more difficult for ourselves. We should think carefully. And this is where I challenge Mr. President and this government. We need to do more. Now, so if we don't do that, let us start from inside. Start the war from inside. If we win it, then we can now have a better chance to win the war outside. If we cannot fight and win the war inside, sorry, it will be our middle of first name in this struggle. Moving forward, what Mazi Osita did, as thank you for reminding him. Please, brother, we will need more exposure to our fundamental historical origin of. I studied the Russian word that is coming more into the roots. Yes, we need to know the historical root. Many of our people don't know this, and the more we articulate them and educate our people, the more. Some of the people fighting against us don't know that they are even fighting against their own brothers and sisters. It is not right. So now, for us to move forward, we must address these challenges that is with it. And it is because of the traitors and the betrayers among us. That is the reason why we are having unending internal division. That is why we are having unending internal division. I form chat today, I form also, one nature form also, and one nature form also, up till hand. So this is what we want us to do. And the government in exile will be very, very instrumental in this, but we cannot do without a home base. Without a home base, we are not going to do much. And the moment we address these internal issues, going for and against these traitors called politicians will be walk in the park. If I close my eyes now, I can name from the order of authority or priority or high risk they pose to us, 10 people. Then if you do it further, you will arrive 15, 20, 30, 50. By the time you remove, carefully sanitize, remove 20 to 50 people from our midst, the war is won. What is 50 people? They cannot make any decision. And because of the fact, as I said before, that they are not interested, they are not living because it was no Ebonyi. They are not in Biafra land. So what is their business about power, about road, about insecurity? They are not interested because they are not experiencing it. So they don't represent us, they represent themselves. But remember also, from local government councillor, even ordinary local government councillor chairman and above, all of them were on written agreement. I don't know what it is, but there is unwritten agreement. The reason why you will find out is this: they will come and talk beautiful speeches and this thing. The moment they take that oath, just as Maaz Mbakwe said, just as all of us know, based on that constitution, based on that other thing, and some of the agreement is unwritten, then they will go there and say, give me that you remember that you agreed on this and this. So there is a lot. Because of time as well, I will try to stop here so that I can let us chew over this. And I will want us to have a little bit more internal brainstorming. We need to move something. We have to work differently from how we have been working thus far. If not, we will not make any significant progress. Now, on that, let me not take too much time. Maaz, I will call based on the people I see. What's that listen on the here, covering here, on the screen? And remember, because of the epileptic network and this thing, not all of them are here. So, who else? Who did I start? Oh, they have gone out. I saw Maaz Obiora here. Is he? Is still now? Okay.
Please let them unmute themselves. They can unmute themselves to speak, please.
Yeah, but they are not here. I can't see them here. Maaz, Elder Joseph, Anya, are you here? Are you based in Homeland?
Yes.
Okay. If Joseph Anya, Maaz Joseph Anya, if okay. Nightingale, can you please unmute? I am looking out for those I know that are based at home to bring them in to address us. Nightingale, can you please unmute and address us, please? As the other ones comes in, then I will bring them in. Nightingale. Okay.
I can play the voice again.
No, if it is the one that we have played before, for time, there's no point. We got the message. Now, while we wait for any other person to come in, let me give Venerable opportunity. But with due respect, Venerable, if any of these other guys from Homeland comes in, I will have to cut it short and bring them in. Go ahead, Venerable.
Okay. Thank you very much, my brother. Unemela, I really thank you very much, you and Mwada and Didamaka. But above all, I want to spend some little time, but there's no need, but I hope everybody will understand how much I love these people from Homeland tonight. I really praise God for them, for their boldness in coming up, talking to us in this Biafra project. It's so important indeed to listen to them, to hear them. And I thank God for our brother. I want us to really understand the truth. We have all of them scattered. Number one, I just want to appeal to us. Please, no matter, we know these saboteurs. We have to expose them, but let's not kill them. It's not our duty to kill them. It's God who will deal with them in a shameful way. In the book of Psalm, the Bible said, please God, don't kill these people. Let them stay alive and see to their shame what they have done. We don't want them to be killed. We don't want them to be missing. They will be alive.
Please, Reverend, Venerable, I need to, with due respect, sir. This is Republic of Biafra government in exile having a summit with Biafran leaders, pro-Biafran leaders in motherland. We do not kill people. We have never seen anybody. We have never sent anybody. So
okay, please don't cut me off. I'm just trying to. I was making a point. I'm not saying that anybody's killing anybody.
Please.
I am saying that if it's possible, some people like to pick out those saboteurs and deal with them. But I'm saying, do not. God says, let the bad crop and the good one, let them grow together. Eventually, we're going to see what's going to happen. So what I'm saying, no, please hold on. Let me finish and then
because of the Festus that came, because of their epileptic disease he's in. Festus, sorry, I'll come back to you with due respect. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Master Festus, Felicitas Obiora, I know that you're having, I will assume that is network issue. If you can hear us, can you please unmute and address the summit? Introduce yourself, tell us what is happening, and the challenges, whatever you think that would be helpful to this summit. Over to you, Maz Obiora. Obiora, sorry. Maz Obiora, can you hear me? You are unmuted. Unmute, then speak.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. We can hear you now. You've muted. You are touching on and off your mic.
Maz, unmute yourself. Maz Obiora, touch your microphone.
Your mic is muted. Unmute yourself. Okay. Because of time, when he unmutes, then we'll come back to him. Sorry, Venerable, you can continue because we don't have time to go ahead. Unmute, Venerable. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, Amos, I would say I still want to thank the brothers and sisters from the homeland. I really want to thank you very much. I cannot stop thanking you all for being there. I encourage you. Once you have, in fact, it's there that we experience those people who love God and who want to serve God to get us a free Biafra. One thing is very obvious. The Biafrans are very, very important. Anybody who knows or hears how the Igbo men, my parents got only 20 pounds at the end of the war in 1970. And with that, they were able to take care of us, about 7 of us or 10 of us in the family, and they were able to take care of us. I went into cloth threading in Aba. We suffered a lot. One thing, even sometimes we were, the gains that we made were stolen by some thieves, but we never died, So I want to tell us that the fear that you, an Igbo man, a Biafran, can succeed with only 20 pounds, with all your property, seized or held together in Rivers State, in Lagos State, and other places was a very big shock and fear, fear in the enemy's minds and territory. So you don't have to worry about the fear of the enemy.
Yes.
Okay, our brother is back. Okay, let him take over.
Okay, Felicitas, go ahead. Because of your mic, that's why we get someone else. Go ahead.
Introduce yourself and the group you're representing, sir, and address the nation.
Okay. My name is Comrade Felicitas Swebioha. I'm the Deputy Leader of Eastern People's Congress, popularly known as EPC. Fellow comrades, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are listening to me. I know this is a great day that we have gathered to know each other through this platform. I want to speak on the subject matter that says Igbo and Biafran interest first. You see, first of all, I like to ask, who are these Igbos? Where do they come from? Like, as we all know, that so many researchers, both home and abroad, have described Igbos as people who descended from a tribe in Israel. Somebody like an Israeli envoy by name Norman Cates says that the Igbos are the descendant of Hebrew that came into the sub-Sahara region of West Africa. But according to the Sunday Sun newspapers, dated March 28, 2004, which says that the Igbos are the descendants of the Jews who migrated in the southern or in this and the eastern part of Nigeria and settled at the rainforests. But in my own view, I totally believe that the Igbos were originally created by God, who found themselves in the rainforest of the southern part of Africa called Nigeria. This homeland belongs to us, and we don't share anything in common with other tribes, both in language and otherwise. Igbos are Igbos. Though we have different tribes that makes up the Igbos in Biafra in totality. If you come to the Igbo land, we have other tribes like the Ijos, the Ijos, the people of the some who settled around the river Niger, who speak different languages similar to that of the Igbo's language. So all this group of people came together to form a nation popularly known as Biafra because we have the same cultural heritage and views. So based on that, I totally believe that the Igbos are the original owners of this land by the creation of God, whom by virtue of tradition from our ancient parents, we all knew that the Igbos are purely democratical in nature. They are purely Republicans who believe in absolute democracy. So to say, in the olden days, the Igbos have what we called a gathering circle or ama in Igbo language, where when people were called together to air their views, all of them will gather at the square where the traditional ruler will sit at his throne with some other opinion elders of the community, like the Nzes and the Ozos, with their subjects. When the traditional ruler brings out a topic, they will all deliberate in it. After deliberating in it, the Eze will now conclude, and all of them will accept it, which is Ohakarasi. That is today transformed into what we call democracy. The Igbo people, right from creation, hates slavery, marginalization, intimidation of any sort. They like pure democracy. They like to be associated with the people's opinion. In the real sense of it, the problems of the Igbos in Nigeria today is based on what we call authoritarian system of government held here in Nigeria, where they suffer people, where people go through a lot of pains, hardship, killings, murdering innocent people, shedding of blood in our own system. So based on it, the Igbo wants a clean playing level where they will worship their God in honest and in totality. They want a place, a freedom, where they will practice their culture. Economic people don't like any form of intimidation. Colonial era, when slavery one that happens in America, popularly known, refused to go into slavery and jumped into the ocean because they believe that instead of them to go into slavery, it is better for them to die than to become a slave in another man's land. The Igbos a state where they will be free in all total free, where they will have freedom, where there is freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of movement, and freedom of worship. Like today in Nigeria here, you see, whatever we do today is a crime to humanity. We are hated people in Nigeria.
Can I interject, please?
Nobody accepts us. Whatever we do today in Nigeria is a crime.
Mazobiara, do you mind if I interject?
Hello?
What you are can you hear me? Can I interject, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
What you are telling? Can you hear me, Mazobiara? Mazobiara, can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I interject? What you are telling us is very, very interesting. But if you don't
Your
mind,
voice is cutting. I can't get you clearly.
Oh, dear. Okay, I wanted you to make it brief and brief us of what is happening today, the current issue back home, the challenges and the homeland with what is happening now. Some of these historical issues where we know it some sort of, but it's very interesting. But if you can bring us to speed what is happening at home, that is why we want to have why we want to have you home based to tell us what is happening, the real situation of things now, vis-a-vis the political atmosphere in the homeland as at today and currently. I don't know whether he's hearing me or not. Oh, a network. Nightingale. Is Nightingale, can she hear us? Can you address us on current issues, please? Can you unmute, Nightingale, unmute and address us, please? Okay. What about Elder Joseph Anya? Can you hear me? Nightingale or Joseph, Anya, any of you, if you can hear me, can you address us, please? Challenges of connectivity. Okay. I will assume that is the connectivity or whatever challenges they are having there. Okay, I don't know. While we wait for any of them to come in, Venerable, do you want to conclude so that we can give space to someone else and probably give floor to Mr. President to maybe conclude and what did Amaka to make some closing remarks?
All right, thank you very much. I don't think I'm going to stay long. First of all, I want to praise the IGBO-BIAFRA. Okay, we need to receive also, get lying about. He didn't say anybody. He started praising himself. The Igbos, we need to praise ourselves. We need to thank God for making us who we are. We don't need to be second rate to anybody. The IGBO-BIAFRA was created to bring light to the world, to liberate the people who are in darkness. And because of that, we must expect that people will have more dangerous people than Igbo saboteurs. We have Britain and USA. We cannot, anything that's holding us now is because of Britain. It has not stopped its evil grip on us. And unfortunately, United States does not want to offend Britain. And that's one of our biggest problems. So since our people come over here, what we're trying to do is make sure we can reach some of the House representatives and other people, senators, to talk to them, to explain to them, to teach them what's going on. So let us not fight among ourselves. There must be that confusion, but eventually it's going to come to a head. We will all be united. And again, I want us to know that Emenke, Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, did a lot of opening of eyes to many Biafrans when he was out there, but he's been caged. We need to keep on praying for him and pray for his heart situation and stuff like that, and again, I want to praise our people in the homeland. Just anybody who knows that we were able to survive with $20 and we were blockaded everywhere and we survived should be afraid of us. Those who are inside us and trying to be traitors and betrayers, they are killing themselves. They know they cannot survive. So let us continue to find new ways by the grace of God to make our efforts known outside outside the Biafrans, because we are going to succeed. And above all, I keep on urging Biafrans to turn to God. We cannot do it ourselves. We need God to help us. And God is ready because he created us specially. And so we must do well to listen to him, read his word. In the Biafran era, in those days, our hymns are always in praise of God and Biafrans. And we need to do that now. Let us not join people who are running away from God or who think that they can invent things that don't make sense, that has no respect. If we don't respect fellow human beings, even our elders, it will be a very bad thing for Biafrans. Let us try our best to respect those people who have been there and who have never given up. They are still fighting. For instance, if you give me a gun now, I will. Though I don't like to kill, but I work on persuasive agenda to hold people, to make them to understand that what they're doing is wrong. I'm not gonna kill anybody. I'm not gonna go to fight now, but we don't want any fighting anyway. So I pray that God may help us.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me add quickly to what you said, Venerable. Just as Madam Didemaka said, we are not here to kill anybody, but I want to say, onye tamanu nike na sonshi or nishi na sonshi, ntawaya nike agama sonshi. If that makes sense. So
no,
my
brother. That's not the
idea.
We're not here to argue. This is not a platform for that.
Yeah, but the point we have to correct.
Okay. Elder Joseph Anya, I know network keep on pushing you out on and off. If you can hear me, can you unmute and address us the status quo, what is happening at homeland now, the situation of things at home? Elder Joseph Anya, can you hear me? Unmute, please, and address the summit. Is Nightingale there? Can you hear me?
I think, you see, this is why we need our nation, Biafra, and organize it the way we want. This is a deliberate frustration for them not to, tell us the situation and the plan in moving forward. So, but we understand the game, but we are not deterred by this. So, Dr. Gemba,
yeah. Yes. If is Mr. President here, is there any other person who want to make any quick comment? Let him do. Then Madam Didemaka, the floor is open to you. Then and allow Mr. President to give a vote of thank or give vote of grant. Let's draw to a conclusion.
Yeah. Can I make some interjection here, please?
Please.
All right. Thank you very much, fellow Biafrans. Let's not be misconstrued. Let us keep our eye on the ball. I don't want anybody to feel I'm an unbeliever. Even if you go back to the history of the Bible, when David had to fight to defend his people, he saw the Lord and the Lord told him, go ahead, and he did it. So this is not the time for us pampering, trying to be the nicest person. Our enemies are pointing their gun on our head. They're about to kill us. And so we have to find a way to defend ourselves and to avoid them killing us. We want to do that. This is not a matter of saying, oh, God shall provide. God has given us everything that we need. He gave us the intelligence. He gave us the strength. So we are the ones that are not fulfilling what God has, mandated us to do. So, and God is not going to spoon feed anybody. He is not in the business of spoon feeding anybody. We're talking about our politicians, our leaders that have sold us out. for their own personal gain. We need to decide how we're going to approach them, how we're going to, make them to, give up their selfish drive. We have to be able to force them to yield that we might stay alive. This is not a time for gospel preaching. No. Telling me what John 16, chapter Jeremiah is saying. No, that's not it. And God wants us to live. That is why he created us. He did not make mistake creating us.
At all.
And therefore we should not, give ourselves in to be slaughtered. The point is, what do we do with our politicians? And my prescription for this is that we do everything possible, humanly possible, to change the course of things. Yes, and this work, that's why it calls for us to come together and unite and articulate and reason and share ideas. This is not a time to fight separately. One person coming at you to make threats that he cannot withstand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no point running around the street, trying to engage the enemy in a street fight within our territory. No, take this struggle, this agitation to their land. I'll be glad to support you. But don't draw for war within our territory, because our people, they can't afford to die again. They are suffering. So whatever we do, whatever we plan, let us be wise. Let's not, live in fool's paradise. I don't know. I can go on and on, but
okay, that's it. Thank you.
Please,
Thank
yeah.
you. The point well made and taken. Yes. What did Jamaica vote of thank or comment? Then Joseph, I think this thing is off. Can you hear us, Elder Joseph, Anya?
Can Elder Joseph Anya call, if his internet is so unstable, he can call in and use audio to make his contribution. So I don't know whether he has the convenience to do that. He can call the phone number on display, +1 202 787 98909. He can call that.
Put it in the chat so that if he can.
Yes,
okay,
look at it on the screen.
Okay. So while that is done, I don't know who else. Elsita Demma, if you can still, yes, you have done. You have no keynote this, but if you can still have anything to chip in or add, we can still give you floor while we sort out our brothers from home base. If not, what did Amaka, you can either make comment, then let's President give his make other comment and vote of thank.
Yeah, I would like to replay the documentary voice we started with while I get some of our brethren from homeland to, because they are the reason why we are doing this today. We want them to speak up. We want them to tell us what is going on. All this shenanigans going on, empty threats, hoodlums everywhere, government feeding into the stupidity of some people. They are the ones on motherland living the life every day, being killed every day. We want to hear from them. We want to know how painful, how supportive they are to all the shenanigans going on, or how painful it is impacting them. Because if the people in motherland do not support any foolishness going on there, then there's no point. We want to defend our land, but we will not draw bloodline on Biafra land again. We will not support that. We want to know their stand on this deceitful election coming up. We want to know. We need people from homeland. There are about 20 of them who agreed to come up today, but the zoo we are in is disturbing them. as usual. But they cannot silence a Biafran. We are lions and lionesses. We are undeterred.
Okay. Well, we see if there's anybody who will come. Master Ostadim, I think he has unmuted. Do you have anything to chip in?
Ngabaniru.
Yes.
Can I go ahead, sir? Yes, thank you all. Thank you all.
Go ahead,
I'm just going to start from my sister. I'm just going to start from my sister, Wada Diamaka. You are really a lioness.
Oh my God. We can't hear you.
Well, in starting with that, I will use that to talk to our people now. God does not make any mistake. Nature does not make the beginning of the word for this is out there about our identity. But our identity is not what is important now. What is important is that we must
Mazo Sita, your phone, we are not hearing you. And you're not in motherland. So
defend our duty to defend our land. Nature has prepared us for this day. Nature prepared.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My sister here said that we are lion and lionesses. Sometimes we have a totem. One of the symbols of our culture is Isiagwe.
What in the heck is going on with the network today?
You are mic
that's
or
error,
your
because
audio
that's not
is
it.
not
What is a
clear.
leopard known for? A leopard grows in land. Can you hear me though?
Yeah, we can
we
hear you,
cannot
but
hear
it's
you.
it is intermittent. At times it goes off or goes.
How about now?
Don't know.
How about now?
Okay, go ahead. Let's see.
Yeah. Yes. So our totem animal is a leopard because lions don't grow in our land. Basic lions came later. That's Odum. But leopard is what we're known for. There's a reason why nature has its many leopards on our soil. Now, what is the character of a leopard? A leopard is a stealth animal. But our people are the only people naturally capable of hunting down leopards. When our people shout, Agu is here, Agu is here, young men, able-bodied men are brought together with no guns, just sticks and bows and arrows to hunt down the deadliest of all the cats. Okay? A leopard is the only animal that can kill and carry animal 3 times its size up to a tree. So it is the most dangerous animal, but that's our totem animal. So our people have been prepared from long time to hunt these venomous Fulanis that are hunting our land. This is just a rendition of the time when the Fulanis were the slave raiders for the Arabs, the slave raiders for the Europeans eventually. So our people became normal of their stealth movements, but our people are also equipped to fight them because 110 years ago in Idoma, the largest force of the Fulani trying to come into our land, all of them were decimated. Not by our own making, but by Elohim himself, by the force of nature. So our people must not be afraid. If we don't do these fights, those ones who came here on a ship forcefully, they're going to come home eventually. Check out your history. Ghana has already started the project, but the project behoves on us. Our people, if we cannot push out this first phase now, we're going to have much casualties. But if we can stand up, support ESN, support those who are supporting and defending our land, if we don't do this now, if we continue in rhetorics, we're going to continue to lose our people. Our lives are very dear. Our people are very dear. We have been insulted. We have been abused. We have been assaulted by various forces on this earth, not because of what we have done, but because of who we are. And who are you? If the devil is the ancient enemy of God himself, If the devil, in all his intelligence, he knows he cannot fight God, the only way he can hurt God's feeling is to afflict you. You have been under afflictions for thousands of years by every hegemony on this earth. And only you know who you are. But now I'm telling you, it is your rights. It is only you that will defend the rest of Africa. Zeke, when Zeke was Zeke in 1949 in Enugu, at the conference of all our people from Ambazonia were there, people from Congo, people from Angola were there. Zeke said, it is important. This was during the campaign for African independence. Zeke said that in this project of African independence, I am moving for an Igbo independent nation, that it is an only Igbo independent nation that can guarantee the ultimate liberty of all Black people on earth. Immediately, Zeke said this in Enugu. They know Zeke didn't know about it, Biafra, because there's some people say Opigo was the one who invented Biafra. No, maybe he has actually read books, older books about Biafra. However, Zeke said only about Igbo nation. Immediately said this, the colonial government of Nigeria swung into work. 2 years and 3 months later, they got the Fulani Caliphate to carry out their project for them. Fulani Caliphate gave Zeke their own finest daughter. From then on, Zeke's position, Zeke's philosophy changed immediately. The same Hegelian dialectics. So our people must understand that it is only us that can save ourselves. And when we stand up to save ourselves, God is going to support us. But if we stay on different corners, we are going to perpetuate the sufferings of our people. We have projects to teach our people how to sustain themselves agriculturally. We have those projects. Only us can provide the things we need. We have all that is required to do this. But we must work as a people. We must hurt when one of us hurts. It must be the principal objective of this body here to move heaven and earth, to see that those who are holding our brother captive are shamed at best. It should be the principal objective of this body to see that all those who are active actors in the oppressions of our people, whether they have political powers or business powers or economic powers, they must be brought to book. It should be the position of this body. This body must have a teeth if our people must see us as an integral part of their freedom. We must have some kind of influence.
Mazosita, can I interject something which you said very, probably said in the past, but it's registered. And the reason why it's registered is that I have seen it manifest in our struggle. That is what you said that Zeke said, and they picked it up and from there neutralized him. Now, this is why we need to approach this struggle from to be a little bit more strategic, to talk less and do more. It is not everything you come around. This is one of the reasons why I have issue with Mazen and with due respect. We founded Radio Biafra together, and this some of the things from early stage. I say, Mazen, let us go down, build from bottom, organically from bottom up. Mature, by the time they know what is happening, church abasa, then they will hold on it and neutralize you. Then you come back to square one, and the same thing is being repeated today. It's not everything you will come up and say something because you have mic, then you can be able to say something. The same thing is happening with our brother in Finland, saying all sorts of rubbish. What you can't, come on. So the same thing is happening, and we are suffering it. Anyway, let me. I don't want to get worked up because of this, because at times I'm a little bit angry about it.
Thank you, Dr. Egemba. That is when you see genuine Biafrans with the passion. Sometimes it's very annoying. Like I said, when Mazosita was reading that, I was almost getting highly upset because I'm like, we have this vast information that is hidden from us, and we're here gallivanting. Like you rightly said, there is no two ways about it. We must defend our land. But how are we going to defend our land? We're going to identify those moles. Yes, we're going to identify the moles. We're going to make sure. Afterward, how many people got independence from America? Only 56 people. We don't need the whole crowd. We need to zip our mouth. That is, like Riley said, the self-imposed leader of Biafra.
Spokesperson.
Yes, that with the bunch of people following him. With the bunch of people following, they don't think out of their boxes because somebody is in his living room ranting. They follow him.
56 days, 26 days. As if give us as if Biafra is a container. Eh?
We are not.
What sort of around nonsense is that?
And they look at the quality of the people. So when Biafra comes today, they will leave everybody and give it to them. Take this battle to the north. Take it back to El Rufai. They are holding Nnamdi Kanu. Simon Ekpa and his people should go and get El Rufai's son, wife, or anybody. Or they should go there and get a Garuba Shehu. When they want us to negotiate, they're killing Nnamdi Kanu gradually. We'll be killing us gradually. If they want us to negotiate, we negotiate. We are sick and tired of this stupidity Simon Ekpa and his people are doing on social media. He is endangering our people. He's endangering our people. And the food following him do not know. Why would he drop blood, all this empty stress in Biafra land? Take it to the north, then we support you. All the political stooges that are holding us, why is Hope Uzodinma still in Imo State talking rubbish? Why wouldn't they go and get Hope Uzodinma to come and tell us why he's killing his people in Biafra land? So all this stupidity is making us more vulnerable, and we will not tolerate it anymore. So please, at this point, we have talked enough. It's time now to get together and re-strategize and make sure you come with facts and things that will be impactful. We are tired of all this talk no do. And it still boils down on the voice we played before from our gallant Biafran. The power of economics, the power of because there is nothing you can do without the power of economics. I rest my case. At this point, I'll call the president of Biafra Republic, Mazi Toniwisi, to please give his
and on that I need to go. I need to go to join to catch up with the other meeting. I'll see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Gemba. Well done, sir. Thank you. All right. So I'll call on Mazi, Honorable Toniwisi, to please give his closing remarks, please. Thank you. Oh, he's out. Oh my God. He's I don't know what's going on with his okay. Mr. President, you have the floor for your closing remark, please.
Okay, thank you so very much. I'm grateful to you, Wada and Maka, for an excellent job one more time. Dr. Gemba, thank you so very much for stepping in and doing a great job, also helping moderate this conversation. I'm also grateful to our panelists for all of their input and their contributions. Our brothers at home in particular, our courageous brothers at home who have more courage in their little finger than Hope Uzodinma and Soludo and Co. I'm grateful to you for your leadership and your contribution to this summit tonight. We've come to the end of this summit. I would, I couldn't help but echo Mazi Uchembakwe's comments when he said, God has given us all that we need to survive and to win. I'm not so sure how much more prayer we need. For sure we need prayer, but clearly our destiny is in our hands. And to our people, I'll say to you, it's very clear we're facing an existential risk. There's no two ways about it. And the enemy amongst us is the politicians. The enemy amongst us is the politicians. all this business about locking down Biafra land and imposing restrictions on our people's liberty is nonsense. Our focus, our collective focus, should be on the politicians. Ronald Reagan said, if they can't see the light, make sure they feel the heat. Okay? Ronald Reagan said this. President Reagan said this many years ago about politicians. He said, if they can't see the light, make sure they feel the heat. Our politicians who are playing games with our life and our future and our destiny, the future of our children, they need to feel the heat. Igbo politicians, from the governors to the senators to the House of Rep, every single one of them that is playing dancing all this foolishness with our future, having our people killed, our mothers killed and raped, okay, with them colluding with our enemy, it is time for them to feel the heat. That is why we'll call them what they are, traitors and cowards. Okay? They are traitors and cowards. And so that is the message we're getting out there to our people tonight and for the rest of Biafra land. If they can't see the light, make sure the politicians feel the heat. And that is the message from Ronald Reagan to all of us and to all the politicians serving us. We're going to be coming to you every month. This is just the beginning of the summit. We're back here next month on another episode, having this conversation and getting our people ready to focus on the right thing, which is the politicians. The politicians are the problem. Biafrans are not the problem. Okay? For anyone trying to intimidate our people, harass our people and all that, you're making a mistake. Your focus should be on the evil politicians in Biafra land who are colluding with the enemy. On that note, I'll say thank you so very much, Ndamaka. Back to you in the studio to round up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Always on point and a man of few words and very impactful. We appreciate your leadership. We appreciate all you're doing. We appreciate that in the last 4 or 5 months of your taking this responsibility, you are just doing the best you can to unite everybody, because together we can do it. We cannot do it, individually, and we applaud your efforts. Mazi Bakwe, I don't know whether you have a minute to do your closing remark, and then before I will go out of this place. Unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you very much, Madam Ndamaka. I'm a man of few words, and I'm hoping that Biafrans have not only read my voice or through my voice, I also have read my face. I don't mince words. I always tell you the truth, regardless of the circumstance. We have enemy at our doorstep, and we have got to come back to reasoning. There's no more time for ranting on the social media. It's time for action, not just talking. Our politicians are our problem, not the innocent relatives we have at home. They are very, very vulnerable. We need to protect them. And one way of not protecting them is to impose on them to stay at home and die. We are not giving them the protection they need. If we really want to protect them and you want them to stay home and relax and sleep, then provide for them. Not until you have done that, should we have the right to impose on them to stay at home. Go and force the enemies to stay at home so that they don't come to menace our land. Go and force the Fulanis to stay in their home and not cross over to create problem for us. And when we do that, then we will then be on our way home to freedom. But it's very important that we work together. Very, very important. A tree does not make a forest. A tree does not make a forest. And I see egwu change here at Wariokwe. That is, you change your system to synchronize with the music. You can't be dancing the same tune that you are dancing maybe a year and a half ago or 2 years ago during the time of Nnamdi Kanu. Things have changed. If you are really a good disciple of Nnamdi Kanu, then you will be doing what he would have been doing today. But that you are still in the old hymn book, singing the old hymn, when actually we're in a new era, shows that you are out of date. And I'm talking to my brother Simon Ekpa in Finland. Don't keep puffing yourself up and creating problems for my people. Personally, I'm talking to you now. You cannot do that. Nobody has given you the right to claim to be the spokesperson of Biafrans. Where were you during the war? Where were you when it all started? You probably were swimming in your mother's womb. And now today you are making empty threats. I am talking to you directly. We need to come together. Put down that ego in you, Simon Ekpa. Stop acting like a little brat that was handed over a piece of large candy. And then it's all over the room, dancing around in that youthful exuberance. Stop that. It will not help anybody. It will not help you. Because if anything happened to my people, if I have a way of coming to Finland, I'll come and grab you and ruffle you. So it's a warning now. Enough is enough. We cannot continue this way. We've been through this since 1960, through 70, and now through the 2023. And we're still acting like idiots. Enough is enough. Thank you very much, Mother.
Thank you, sir. And on that note, we say great Biafrans and the lovers of freedom. We will come your way again once every month to make sure we bring the voices of those who are living the life in motherland to the people, to the world. Because we can be in diaspora and say everything we can say, but those realities are staring on the faces of those in motherland. Unfortunately, today we scheduled about 8 of them to address the nation. The network was so epileptic and they couldn't speak, but they're going to improve on that. Having said that, we said, Biafrans, we must defend ourselves. And defense is not making empty threats. Defense is being careful with the security around you. Defense is making sure you get yourself anything that somebody who comes to attack you, you can defend yourself with. You have that right to defend yourself. But we must now look at the bigger picture. Do we really need this Biafra? And if we do, we must re-strategize. We must come together. We are done talking on phone, talking on social media. We are done making empty threats. This is time to get to work. And who are the people holding us down? It's not even Britain. It's not even America. It's people like Soludo, people like Hopo Zadema, people like Devo Mai, people like Neawodo, people like Zibazo, people like Wike. Because I bet you once we agree that we need our nation, we want to be free. Everybody speak with one voice. America cannot say no, neither will Britain say no. So Simon Ekpa and his people, you know where to direct your anger to. You know where to direct your agitation to. You know who is holding us down. You know those who are holding us down. Take your problem and your agitation to those people. Leave Biafrans alone. They have suffered enough. On that note, we say, Mechuko Kikabia my lead. Let us move Biafra, because give us freedom or give us death. We must be free. On that note, we say good night, my great people.
Land of the rising sun, we love and cherish. Beloved home, land of our brave heroes. We must defend our lives, or we shall perish. We shall protect